radiating some random troops. A lot of mines also. The while efforts trying to penetrate very close to the natural expansion. One drone swarm does come up. There's going to be that as Goliaths are not going to be effective at all. Some of the tanks are going to be able to siege in. They're going to be forced to run away. Another Dark Swarm coming even closer. Lurkers are going to be able to burrow down. Some of the tanks are going to be forced to unsiege and run away from those lurkers. Because it's just, man, not going to help out. But not going to help them there. Still trying to hold a fairly decent defensive grade. Those lurkers coming in close, but they are going to get picked off on their swarm. It's going to take a while, but it is going to happen. But that's, of course, one of the weaknesses. Also, another big weakness of a mech army is that only the tanks are going to be able to do any sort of damage on their Dark Swarm. Otherwise, if it went for Bionic, you at least would have access to Fire Bats, which do pure splash damage. There's no bit of damage that does not do damage. Well, I'm saying damage way too much. Under Dark Swarm, I mean, tanks only do partial damage. Under Dark Swarm, while Fire Bats would do full damage. Again, he's going to try to go near this natural expansion, going Dark Swarm all over the place. So he's clearing up some of the forces, coming with cracklings alongside. Defensive mages coming in one of those tanks just to help it survive longer. At the very least, I like this, that he has his tanks very well spread out. Ruby, that is, and Ruby the only one using tanks in this game. And he does manage to shell those lurkers at range. But effort still, losing that Defiler there, nice. Bad for him, that is. But he's going to still manage to keep on this constant pressure. And he's actually going to take the, 1230. He has a 1130. He has a 1230 as well. Well, not really sure what to call it. Also getting the Ultra's Cavern up. He's going to be able to afford. He's really been producing a lot of Mutos early game, a lot of Hydra since then, some lurkers, Defilers, getting his tech up. But he's been on so many guesses for so long. He's just waiting for those upgrades for those Ultras. And as soon as the Ultras are fully upgraded, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Muta still flying around with Carapace 2 upgrades. Science was alongside some forces. Thinking of sieging, going for this inside 6 o'clock. That is a smart idea. Scanning, just trying to siege from range. He needs to do some sort of damage because, okay, he's taking the entire right side of the map, but still, effort has more map control. He has those Mutas in play. He's going to be able all over the map. Reinforce any locations he wants. He really needs to do some sort of damage to some bases. Has 3 Science Vessels up. He has to be very careful not to get those hit by a crap load of, cloning of the Scourge. Weapons 3 upgrades on those Hydras. Weapons 1 upgrades on the regular ground forces. So he's going to have a very, very huge differential army. He's going to have a lot of Hydras, going to have a lot of Ultras. And apparently Ruby, meanwhile, he's going to commit this. He has Weapons 3 and Armor 3. His full weapons upgrades. These have come in late. I assume this was exactly what he was waiting for this entire game. Getting those early upgrades. Oh, still loses the Science Vessel, I think, there. Despite everything, still, I'm not quite sure actually. Still, I'm not quite sure whether they lost it or not. Didn't quite spot whether the explosion was that or not. Zergans have weapons 2 and armor 2 now, but yeah, effort just being allowed this entire game to do what he wants, getting those all the gas, getting those upgrades up. He's still a little behind some of his forces on those upgrades, but still in a fairly good position. Vulture's thinking of going for the lower left hand. Something this is a base he should have been harassing ages ago, and he just hasn't done it. Just honestly, not something. Yeah, he failed. It's just something he failed in doing. Finally, going to go for this Harris. He's going to be able to be fairly consistent, be able to do a lot of damage at the lower left hand. As I'm saying this, though, effort is going to go for a Doom Drop at this upper right. A lot of defensive matrixes came up on those tanks. I'm not quite sure whether they're on their forces, though, because Ruby did have quite a large contingent of forces going for that 6 o'clock. Still has those forces below the left hand that actually can't do any sort of damage because the Dark Swarm coming up from the lives and tanks coming to help support. But I think there are Defilers in play. They can maybe get even more Dark Swarms off. Command Center still in the air. I'm not quite sure what's floated. Some of the tanks coming in to also help support, try to clear this up. There's still no Dark Swarms for what I can see, and the Command Center is still in play. Refinery went down. Some Scourge coming in, tried to pick up the Science Vessel. Not going to be too successful. Still some forces at that upper right hand, and the lower right hand forces, meanwhile, have been cleared up. Those Vultures killed. Dark Swarm kind of saving their lives. And 6 o'clock, still some tanks coming close. A Science Vessel going down. Ruby's attention just split a little bit too much, not really keeping up to all this stuff going on. Effort managing to split his attention because there was attack at the 6 o'clock that Ruby should have been paying attention to because it was his attack. His attack at the lower left hand where he should have been paying attention to, but he wasn't. Attack at the upper right hand, that was Effort's attack. But now Ruby's actually going to move out in his nat, going over the bridge where there's a lurker right in front of that bridge. Defiler does get irradiated. Some Scourge coming in, so it might actually pick off the Science Vessel. Not careful on the Science Vessels. Yep, gonna go up fairly cleanly. Goodbye, Science Vessel. That 12:30, I'm sorry, is actually not mining much. Ruby's still trying to inch close towards that 6 o'clock. Picking off drones now with one single tank. One single change is sieging those. So some Zergans coming close. They are going to be able to pick off the tank. Yeah, Dark Swarm wants to come up. Even more tanks further behind, just below the bridge that actually cover each other fairly well. So Since Kurt's still flying all over the place, try to pick up science vessels. And finally, Ultras in play. Fairly heavy amount of Ultras. Let's see, 4, 2. Okay, they're just waiting for their regular... have all their main upgrades up. Their Ultras Cavern upgrades. Just waiting for that third and final Evolution Chamber Carapace upgrade. And as long as their third and final Evolution Chamber weapons upgrade. Meanwhile, Ruby is going to commit to this inside 6 o'clock. Is going to try to take it out. It's still threatening at that 12 o'clock. So he set up a pretty stable defensive grid. Still is producing. He doesn't have a lot of factories. He only had 6 at one point. Not quite sure where he's added much. Still producing at a good rate. He is going to be able to pick off this inside 6 o'clock. It's only this he's going to be able to deny. Maybe even pick up a location. It's kind of interesting that this TVZ, to me, really resembles a game of Risk. It really is resembling a game of Risk. As I say this, it's interesting enough that Effort has consolidated all of his forces. Going to go for a break at this upper right. Going to clear, make sure that 12:30 is not threatened. Make sure that his north base is not threatened. Going alongside Dark Storm with a crap load of Ultras that just take so much fire. Some of the tanks trying to engage without siege, but okay, some of the Ultras at the upper right have been cleared, but there are some Ultras coming from the south alongside. Tried to go for this 2 o'clock. Meanwhile, Ruby still committing. Has picked up at the south side. Has picked out that base. Meanwhile, Effort at least cleared one of the threats at the north side. Has apparently more overlords coming in to try to go for another drop. To clear up quite a few forces. Actually, coming right inside the science says, hello, science vessel. Yeah, so something, that's, I said, basically, it was my subtitles. That was what he's actually said, and my subtitles were, hello, science vessel. Sup. Full upgrades finally for the Zerg, so full upgrades for both players on all sides. Ruby apparently setting up a sort of interesting offensive grid, and Effort's streaming in forces right towards that location. We're going to see how effective that is. There are quite a few tanks in a good grid, some Ultras coming alongside. Some of the tanks are unsieged so he can engage freely, while some of the tanks are siege. There's going to be only engaged the forces coming in at range. Some Goliaths helping out. Ultras have died at this point, and Hydra's moving in, so I think Ruby's actually going to be able to hold this, doing a pretty good job overall. He still has a lot of tanks on the field, and apparently his next move is towards the lower left hand just to clear that up. And this slow stream of forces over the place for him really has kind of not allowed Effort to utilize his Ultras. He's lost a lot of Ultras so far, and that's quite an investment, really. He is going to go for yet another attack at the upper right hand. Really, Effort really needs to break. He needs to stop one of Ruby's mining bases, because his mining bases have been stopped. He's now having his, inside 9 o'clock siege, and he really needs to do some sort of damage. Ruby yet again engaged in the ignoring the lower left hand double gas, which I find silly. I think that might be because those double gas, I'm not quite sure whether they have full gas yield. I'm going to go back and check that later. Been a while since I had to have a sip of water. It's been a while since I read the map report. But Effort, looking at mining, is really kind of not mining. Other players really mining much. I mean, if Ruby loses his upper right hand, mining-wise, is going to be in bad position. Also losing those science vessels is not helping. He is going to finally go for his lower left hand. Not really much to stand in his way. One single sunken colony on Nidus Canal, but Effort really looking troubled. Just Ruby with a very nice mech build overall, and there are going to be a Defiler. There is going to be a Defiler alongside some Hydralisks. My English just dying apparently, but still Ruby has a lot of forces. Gonna go for this 11:30. Those drones are dead and dying and dead, or something along those lines. He's still also keeping some forces apparently that are engaging the inside 9 o'clock, sieging all over the place. 12:30 has died. We're going to see what actually streams in for that 11:30. But Effort, GG's. Oh, man. And Ruby's answer there was circle apparently. And holy crap, surprise, surprise, Ruby picking out Effort. Effort yet again showing his weakness in individual tournaments. I mean, he's a prologue beast, but he's kind of like C in that he doesn't really manage to do too much in individual tournaments. So Ruby, a surprise, I gotta say, but definitely a pleasant one. Moving into the winners match, and we're gonna see who it is that joins them very soon. GG guys, wrenching out. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Man, that was fun.